This is my instructional video for the Freezer 7 Pro Rev 2 by Arctic. So my CPU motherboard combo is AMD FX 6300 series CPU on a Gigabyte motherboard. This is AM3 Plus. This heatsink fan cooler is compatible with FX2 AM3 Plus along with all three of Intel's series. So I'm going to be showing you how to install it on my AMD motherboard. First thing you want to do after you open the box just has three simple pop clasps, 1, 2, and 3. You'll have instructions, and one side will have AMD sockets, the other side will have Intel. Obviously we're going to be wanting to use AMD side. So what you do is once you open it, on the bottom you'll have the Intel bracket. We won't be using that, and you'll have Intel pins. We won't be using that. Instead, what we will be using is AMD packet with the 2 bolts and the 2 brackets. So, as you can see, you have these 3 holes. It doesn't matter, these 2 brackets are symmetrical, whichever side, and what you do is you just put it on just like that. You just hook it around the plastic piece. The plastic piece only has one outward facing clip. If we look at the stock mount, it is just like that, and so we just need to put it into the center one. Before I did all of this, for my CPU it had all the thermal contact on it. That is just some grease. You can take just a tissue. I know, don't be afraid. The little particles won't do anything. Just waft away any if you see any. And what you do is you do circular motions and then linear to rub it down and make it nice and good and nice and clean. Once cleaned off, you can start with your brackets. So you're going to have your one over here, and you're going to have your other on the other side, just hooking it around. So once you have them both placed, you can take off this bottom part, which you would have had to do to get the AMD part. I put it back on just so I didn't mess up the thermal contact. So the fan goes in according to the instructions. Just to look back, it's going to be going fan down facing the PCI ports. So that means your power supply should be above it if you have a standard setup. If we look at my computer in the correct orientation, if it was standing upright, you would see it like this, and this will be going in there just like that, with the fan facing down towards the bottom of the computer. Alright. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place this on there with your brackets on. I just took them off, and I'll explain why. To figure out which hole you need to line up with this one. Because as you can see, there are 2. You have this one and this one. Based off of what I could see, I need to use the outer one. And so what you want to do is you want to get them started just about equally. The screw goes in from the top, and once you do that, I'm going to try pushing it on and then tighten down the screws as necessary. I'll be right back. So the top side went on, started pretty easily, but for this side what you have to do is you actually will have to unclip the fan from the heatsink. Now that I have successfully unsnapped the fan from the heatsink just by applying some pressure outward on that clip, I can now start the next bracket. Now that I have them both started, I'm going to remove the plastic that I put back on the bottom in order for it to be outside of the case and keep the thermal contact intact. So next what I'm going to do is remove the plastic piece and see how the brackets fit onto the heatsink mount. Now comes the moment of truth. So we're going to have the curved side facing up. We're going to try to have the brackets straightened out. Alright, that's as straight as they're going to be getting. There we go. I have successfully put it on. What I had to just do for this side is to loosen the screw so then the bracket can fit back down and over. Then you pull it up with your left hand and screw it in very, very loosely with your right until it just is in an equilibrium. Now for the other side. I now have both sides fastened rather tightly. I'm just going to double check and make sure that it, alright, just apply a little bit more torque on those. Don't want too much, don't want to break your plastic bracket. You want it so that this can't really jiggle at all. So just like that. And you do want to be switching side to side to make sure it's nice and even. Now it doesn't have to be super secure because this is just a heatsink. You just want to make sure it's in contact and you're not going to really be hitting this. So that should be good. Next you have to put the fan back on. So you just do this with the text facing up against the side. Get that on. Put it around on the clip around on the one side. Then just snap it in on the other. Sorry for the poor lighting. Yep, so it's on, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 4-pin connector and just put it in for the CPU fan. I can actually see the pins, there we go. Just slid right on. Alright, well that's it. Hope it didn't take too long. Now I got all my Arctic fans mounted, and I will let you know how well it cools it off. Alright guys, time for the moment of truth. See if my computer boots up. And it does. I made sure I plugged all the wires in correctly. Booting up Windows Boot Manager. Let it automatically Alright, going to go into Easy Tune 6. Going to say yes to that. Yeah, I know you think that the drivers failed, but they didn't. I am running Windows 10, dual boot with Windows 7. Alright, now we go to HW monitor. Fan temp, and now if we look over here we can see it's running at a nice 32 degrees Celsius on the CPU, 27 on the system. Now I found the best way to make your CPU do some real work is to go into your File Explorer, and then underneath this PC you can just right click your C drive, go to Properties. This is good if you need to free up some disk space or you just want to make it run as smoothly as possible. Clean up disk. And I'm going to open Task Manager for you guys. Control Alt Delete. Alright, Task Manager. And as we can see under Performance, that the CPU is clocking to it's using a bit of overdrive every now and then. However, we got to do the real test with this. Now I'm going to say clean up. Now we can see it really starting to work. Now if we go back over here, we got some red with the system fan speeds, but that doesn't really mean much. Yeah, it's giving me warning. Let's put it right there at 1000. Now if we go over here, yeah, and as we can see the temperature is running nice and cool, just the way I like. In fact, I'm going to even lower the settings. So this is at 40. 42 is a good number. And this one will be at 35. Oh, come on, get at 35. There we go. Going to save that. Let's save that profile. Yes, I will overwrite. Alright, that is good. Now we go back over here. You can pretty much check off everything. Yeah, it's got the big files. Oh, error, don't need that. 505 megabytes, that'll save some. And then I'm good with deleting those files. We go back over here, we can see it's clocking at almost 4 gigahertz. And what is the system at? It's getting a little warm. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed it. Maybe 45 is good, yeah. Oh. Ugh. Seriously? You're warning me that the fan's slow. That's just stupid. Save this again. Yeah, save all saved items. I'll overwrite my profile. There we go. Right now, it's at a crisp 30. Yep, and then CPU's at 25. Dang, that's nice and cool. Yep, and so as you can see, even under extensive load of going through the C drive and reformatting it a little, it stays nice and cool. That's it. See, yep, that's my... Something I'd like to point out is how freakishly quiet my machine is. Yeah, there it is. You can see the little light. So the basic breakdown of the computer airflow now is I have an Arctic 82mm in the front taking in some air. So if I put a piece of paper right here, it'll be carried towards that. And so it blows through my, come on, please. Blows through my 2 hard drives. Got some holes right there. Then we got my graphics card sucking up some air from the bottom that it blows in and putting out the sides of the heatsink, and then that flows up to this, which sucks in air, pushes it through the heatsink, some from the graphics card, some from the intake, and then it pushes it up, and my power supply sucks some in and then out the back, and then my 90mm Arctic takes the rest out the back. And this is nice and quiet and sleek, and it all fits in a mini tower.